One of the ways that my autism really affects me is with sensory overload and different sensory challenges. And I don't know exactly like how to put what sensory overload feels like into words, but I wanted to do my best in this video just to try to describe what I experience every single day. I think the word overstimulation is thrown around a lot. And I also believe that non-autistic people can also get overstimulated. I think it's just part of the human experience of having our senses and becoming overwhelmed by our senses. And so I think that, yes, a lot of people can relate to overstimulation when talking about it in that sense. Now, where I think the difference is and where I think my sensory processing disorder because of my autism comes into play here is that this happens very frequently and with so many different sensory triggers. For me, some of my biggest sensory triggers, and these are things that really can start to overstimulate me, are certain types of lighting. For example, no offense to Walmart, but the lighting in there is horrible. It's bright, it's white, it just feels like this. Like I don't know how else to describe it. That's a big one for me. And even just like any sort of like inside light, like overhead lights, I much prefer lamps, like string lights, Christmas lights, things like that, as opposed to overhead lighting. And I also prefer more natural lighting versus artificial indoor lighting. And I don't really know why that is, but it can really overstimulate me. And I'll get to in a sec what that feels like. I'll do my best to describe what that feels like. Another sensory trigger for me, if you can probably hear it, I don't know if you can, probably a little bit in the background through the microphone, is loud sounds. My dog is currently barking as I'm filming this video, which is very inconvenient. Hopefully he's done now. Sudden loud sounds really overwhelm me. Some examples that I can think of are his barking. My partner and I, we wear our headphones at home a lot just to try to prevent this. We also live next to a street, and sometimes like loud motorcycles or loud trucks can be not just startling, but like it sends like this down my body. I'm trying to find the words to describe this. Other examples I can think of are, well, like fire alarms. I think those are loud for everyone on purpose, but like when we had like the fire drills in class, those were the absolute worst. I had to cover my ears as we were walking outside. This is like kind of a more specific example, but when you like pull out a shopping cart from like the line of shopping carts, when you pull it out and that little flap comes down, and it makes that loud sound against the metal. Hate that. I'm always like, ugh. Like babies or children screaming if you're at like a restaurant or something, and also at restaurants, like loud clanging of forks, loud music, things like that. Those really also overwhelm me. Another really big one for me, and it's been this way like since I was a kid, is smells. Even sometimes like pleasant smells, if they're really strong, it's really, really, really overwhelming. Some smells I can think of, like fabric softeners, perfumes, some candle scents. Those are like the really big ones for me. But if there's any sort of overpowering smell, it's like all my brain can focus on, and it's just like, you know, like in like cartoons where like bad smells are depicted of having like a green gas bubble around them. That's like how it feels when it's just like oozing into my nose and like spreading throughout my body. Another thing for me is certain textures. This one isn't as big as the other things that I previously said, but like tags, I don't like tags. Yeah, those really bug me. Or wearing like a sweatshirt over a baggy t-shirt when it's like all crinkled and like twisted. That's the worst. Or socks when like it has that like line, or it has like the interwoven fabric inside of there. That's the worst too. I could probably list like 50 plus things sensory wise that overwhelm me, and I'm sure I'm sure I'm missing some, and I just thought of one. Soft touch, like if someone, oh no, especially when it's like unexpected. No, I that might be honestly one of the worst ones for me. Yeah, and I have a lot more. Of course, I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but all these things really overwhelm me in a way that is hard to put into words. And I think I've been like kind of showing with my hands and my face and my body like how it feels. I often describe the feeling as painful, and not painful in the sense like, not like physical, like throbbing pain. It feels almost like a shock. It feels almost like how I would imagine it feels to be like struck by lightning, or even like burned alive. Like if I'm already like slightly overstimulated, maybe I didn't get a lot of sleep. Maybe there were a few like sensory triggers in my environment that I wasn't really aware of, and it kind of like built up and it pent up. And then there's a loud sound, or there's a overpowering smell that will often send me over the edge. Possibly if it does get really bad, causing me to have a meltdown or a shutdown. And that's when it does feel like that, like painful shock, full body, extreme discomfort. And that's more of an extreme. That does happen to me often, I would say though. And that's more when it like starts to build up. But even just like those little random things throughout the day, those also can be overwhelming. And what a fitting video, because there's so much going on around my apartment today. They're working on the apartment next to mine, doing like and lots of like banging, and then they're doing construction across the street, so lots of like loud trucks going by. And yes, these things are and have been overwhelming me all morning. That's another thing too, like lawnmowers, leaf blowers. Hate those too. So when an autistic person says that they're overstimulated, it's not just like a mild discomfort. It's not like a quirky thing, like, oh, I'm so overstimulated. I just need to chill out a bit. It's and this is me speaking in my own experience. It's incredibly overwhelming. And it is really hard to put all of this into words that like everyone can understand. I'm sure autistic people watching this can understand what I'm trying to say. I guess like, and I mean, I don't know what neurotypical people experience when it comes to these things, but just based on how the world is, how society is, how things are like out there, and just from observing what bothers me versus what doesn't bother other people, I can conclude that a neurotypical level of overstimulation would be here, maybe on a scale from like 1 to 100. Maybe it gets to like a 30 or a 40 when it does get really intense. For me, it's up here at 100 when things get intense, and when things don't feel as intense, I'd say it's probably like a 70 or an 80. It's still really uncomfortable. And this is why accommodations and inclusivity of accommodations is really important. I wear my headphones out in public most of the time. It's not me trying to be rude. It's not me trying to ignore. It's actually me allowing myself to be more present and to be more grounded in the space that I'm in so that I don't get as overwhelmed. Same thing with using like fidget tools out in public. Just doing like having something that helps me stim in a safe and more like subtle way can also help me when there is a lot of stimulation going on around me. Even like I wish I was more comfortable with this, and I'm trying to get to the point because I know that it would be really helpful for me, wearing sunglasses indoors. Maybe I'll try to find like some other like blue light or like I think like what would say like pink or orange glasses can help with that too. I may need to look into that. But even like wearing sunglasses indoors, it's not like I wish that when people saw other people doing these like peculiar or out of the ordinary things, they wouldn't instantly judge, and instead they'd be like, oh, there's probably a really good reason for that. And so accommodations when it comes to our sensory needs are so incredibly important so that we're able to function in this overstimulating world.